if you're saying he's a free agent and the Lakers have cap room, should they spend it all on Chris Paul? No, he's in decline. He's no longer a great player. He's only
look at his production, Max.
He's only a good player.
Are you that excited about that production?
Well, I'm in the middle of saying he's no longer a great player. He's only a good player. In fact, a very good player. Do I think a team that could use a point guard who could really shoot, who's an actual point guard, would like a very good point guard? The other thing is, who would Chris Paul play well with, right? Maybe LeBron James? Yeah, I'm a Lakers fan. I'd love to see him on the Lakers. If he got bought out and the Lakers could just sign him to a minimum, of course I'd like to see him on the Lakers.
Are you serious right now?
Yes.
We just had an entire segment about fit, about personality, about building culture, about chemistry. You know who's on the Lakers? The big reason why this wouldn't fit? And I'm not talking about LeBron James. I know what LeBron wants, essentially, he's going to be able to get. Rajon Rondo. You have already committed to Rondo.
Oh, you're going to stop acquiring Chris Paul because you already have Rondo? Is that what you're telling me?
Rondo probably has more left in the tank right now. Chris is a better shooter. We can agree to disagree or go back and forth on that. But the reality is, what you need in that.
Who's a better player, Rondo or Chris Paul, right now?
Right now, Rondo. Right now, Rondo.
Oh, come on.
Right now, Rondo.
All right, I can't talk to you.
Rondo.
I can't talk to you.
We're looking at health. We're looking at
What
impact.
are you mad? Did CP3 not let you in the huddle when you were on the...
That ain't what it's about. Chris ain't healthy. If Chris is healthy, this is a different conversation.
Sure.
Completely different conversation. Yeah. And the reality is, Chris still has a big personality, and just health, father time is catching up to him. And now when I talk about uprooting a guy like Rondo, keep in mind, he ain't a big fan of Boogie Cousins either. These guys aren't, I get it. Maybe Chris is maybe a better, whatever player, but you're going to uproot half of the locker room potentially for Chris Paul. I would never do this.
Let's do it this way.
I would never do it.
Let me dismiss your silly reasoning with this thought experiment, okay? We're choosing up teams. Me, you, a bunch of friends just choosing up teams. I got so-and-so, to see who can make the best roster, like fantasy basketball, right? You've already taken LeBron. Somehow you also wound up with AD. Boys, he was left on the table. Now we're going around a third time, and you need a point guard. And the best available guy is Chris Paul. You're not going to take him? That's actually a perfect fit. Chris Paul with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. It's perfect. It's perfect.
Are we playing fantasy basketball?
With a rock.
Are we playing? This is not fantasy basketball.
Actually, the Lakers are. The Lakers are actually doing that, yes.
You understand this man just got into a make-or-break situation, whether they want to deny it or not, with James Harden, and you think you're going to throw him into the Lakers locker room with the controversy they had last year?
You think it's going to be a problem with LeBron?
Are you kidding me?
You think
LeBron, you would cause a divide in that locker room in which they finally got things going. They got the players. They assembled the roster.
With divide
Everything is making sense.
Mention the players that there be a divide with.
If you take Rondo off that roster.
Yes. I like Rondo on that roster, by the way, but sure, I would take him off.
His impact, not to mention, you talk about building something. A guy who was on the roster the year before that
when they didn't make the playoffs.
But relationships are relationships. I would say he's a great piece in that locker room and what he brings day to day.
Would you start Rondo?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind starting Rondo. You can go wrong either way.
I wouldn't start Rondo.
And
I don't
keep in mind,
the team is worse with Rondo on the floor controlling the ball because obviously the ball sticks with him versus LeBron. So, in fact, with LeBron James, like Jordan never played with pure point guards. He played with guys who could defend and shoot.
Well,
that's what you put LeBron with. You can start Avery Bradley
on the floor, LeBron or Chris Paul.
Chris Paul with the ball in his hands?
No.
Chris Paul
over LeBron.
Excuse me.
So how do you
with
compare
LeBron on the wing
LeBron?
and AD in the post? Yeah, that's fine with me. That's fine. Yeah, that works just fine.
I understand. We love Chris. We know what he's done in the game. But his effect on the locker room and his personality when you have things going with the Lakers, it honestly makes no sense.
Well, you can speak to his effect on the locker room. What's his effect on the locker room?
Look, man. If this is New Orleans Chris Paul, the guy who's putting up 35, 15, 8, night in, night out, even Clippers Chris Paul, you take that risk. You make the move. Heck, you build a big three. You could legitimately call it a big three there. He doesn't have the same talent of going out and creating his own shot, level of health.
But he can still create his own shot.
If he's not the same, bro.
But
it's not the same, brother.
Look, the bottom line is he would immediately, day one, be the best point guard on the team. Look, it's totally unlikely that they would buy him out.
So you're ready to get rid of Rondo? You're ready to ship Rondo off and say, hey, shut your mouth, Rondo.
Nothing personal,
Where
but if
would
Chris
you
Paul
rather
is available,
see him go? Is there somewhere you see him being a good fit for?
This is a no-brainer in Philadelphia. The reason that I throw out Philadelphia, Ben Simmons is still growing, coming into his own. There's enough of an age difference where Chris Paul can mentor Ben Simmons and they wouldn't butt heads. He can shoot. He can play off the ball. They have a group of defenders, Embiid, Simmons, Richardson, Tobias, who can get his
Tobias, you mentioned, is a defender?
Tobias can defend.
No, he can't.
He can defend.
No, he can't defend 5 positions. He can switch
five. I didn't say 5 positions.
No,
he can defend. He can guard. He can guard 1 through 4.
No, he can't. He can't guard anybody.
you
That's the problem.
me?
If Tobias Harris could defend positions, he would genuinely be like a true all-star MVP almost.
No.
He doesn't defend. That's the problem.
If there's going to be, no, it's not defense. If there's going to be questions with Tobias Harris, it's going to be playmaking. But he's excellent, probably one of the best in the league at playing off of the basketball.
Sure.
Those are the questions. It's the guy
looks
can play
like
defense.
He looks like he should be able to, but he doesn't. Let's be honest.
He ain't Kawhi or Paul George. But my point is, Chris Paul would be a great fit because he does what they don't do in Philadelphia, what they desperately need.
You just mentioned that because they have defenders, Chris Paul works because he's not the defender he once was.
He would have help.
Although he can still defend.
He's intelligent.
Does AD defend?
Yeah.
Does Danny Green defend?
Absolutely.
Can LeBron defend?
When needed.
When needed, he's an excellent defender, right? How's Avery Bradley on defense?
One of the best on-ball defenders I've ever played with.
It's a lot of guys already I mentioned. They can defend on the Lakers. I mean, that's okay. And Chris Paul's not a bad defensive player. So he fits there. I like what you're saying about Philadelphia because we just saw Jimmy Butler come in and you thought, what's going to happen? Well, that might be combustible. But in fact, his leadership, his veteran leadership was a good addition to that team, and Chris Paul may fill that void. It's not that he would be bad in Philly. Chris Paul would be a good fit, in spite of what people say about the personality or the decline. He'd be a good fit on a lot of teams because he's a great floor general, and he's still a very good player. But for you to say you wouldn't bring in Chris Paul if he were available on a minimum contract if he got bought out, which it probably isn't going to happen, but for you to say you wouldn't do that on the Lakers because they have Rondo, and I love Rondo, and playoff Rondo's real. But are you kidding?
Let me throw this to you. Do you understand how long and how deep that beef between he and Chris Paul was? And you would shake things up by bringing him in? And if LeBron wanted to play with Chris so bad, he had an opportunity to go to Houston, and he didn't. Well, he had a chance.
No.
If they want to play together,
you have to want to play with someone enough that offsets living in Houston instead of L.A. What are you talking about?
Stop it. He had a chance to do it in H-Town.
Because he preferred L.A.
Don't just take a dump over H-Town. Don't do that, Max.
It's not that. It's L.A.
And let me break down Philadelphia also. One thing they desperately need. See, the first year when they were kind of building the process, Brett Brown was coaching. They ran. They had movement. They've had amazing sets. They brought in Jimmy Butler. While Jimmy and Tobias were amazing talents, the one thing they desperately struggled to do was execute down the stretch. Heck, execute in the regular season. There a point in time where Joel Embiid would go 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 possessions without a post-up. You know what Chris Paul's going to do? Hey, big fella, get in the post, drop it to the post, get a post-up. He can play off the ball with Simmons. And the thing is, man, they need this desperately. They don't have it.
If he would fit in Philly, he would. For you to suggest he wouldn't fit in L.A. with LeBron,
it's not about basketball, Max. It's not about basketball.
But we're talking about basketball. But if we were talking about football,
because it's not just about on the court. It's off the court. It's chemistry. Fit in locker room.
Try this one.
Building
try
something.
This one. Hey, Charlie, real quick, try this one. If the Lakers somehow figured out, if he got bought out and the Lakers brought on Chris Chip, the day the Lakers brought on Chris Paul, I'd say, okay, Lakers going to win. It's too much talent.
Stop it.
Yep.
And Ryan, I know you're focusing on this beef between the two players, but it kind of sounds like you're saying Rondo is a better player than CP3.
Absolutely. Rondo is healthier right now. Just by health alone, he's going to be able to give you more.
Oh, wow.
I will not.
At this stage in their career,
I will not.
Okay, coming
dignify
up,
that with a response.
there is talk that Zeke Elliott could sit out on training camp, but who should the Cowboys pay first, Zeke or Dak? Plus, Jadeveon Clowney, he didn't get a deal done, so what's next for him and the Texans? Keyshawn Johnson joining the debate next. Keep it locked right here on First Take. All right.